Well, so it's late winter here in Westchester, Pennsylvania, Zone 6B, 7A, and I'm getting prepared for the beautiful Clematis vine to show its wonderful flowers in the springtime. This is a great time to do this sort of preparation. If you've been growing Clematis and it's not performed how you've desired, watch this video. You might learn a thing or two. So right now you can see the Clematis is kind of reaching the top of the structure that I've built. So I'm adding in a couple extra layers of this wire. Now what you'll notice is that this wire is super thin. I'm using a copper wire, and the reason that we need this thin wire is that the Clematis, they're not going to cling on to surfaces like certain other vines might, like an English ivy, for instance. They need a very thin structure to cling onto. So if you're trying to get it to climb up a mailbox or a trellis, you need to have an additional wire that they can actually cling onto with their small tendrils. So before the growth starts to start up again in the springtime, this is a good time to assess your growing situation and determine if your plant hasn't really taken off like you think it should have over the last couple seasons. Consider adding in some wire to your structure right now. I'm growing a type 2 Clematis. There's 3 different types of Clematis. If you're unsure which type you're growing, check the video description and you'll find a link to another video where I go through those 3 different types. But type 2 Clematis, they like to be pruned back in the late winter, early spring. Simply removing the dead wood is all that you're going to be doing, unless your plant does not have at least 4 hardy stems emanating from the ground. As you can see, my Clematis has been growing here for the last few years, and I have like 6 or 7 stems growing out of the ground. If you don't have at least 4, you're going to want to cut back the entirety of your plant down to around 12 inches at this time. All right, so we made it to the first week of spring. We're starting to see some green come back onto our Clematis. Now let me show you guys what we're going to do at this point to really get things nice and clean, ready for this growth to really take off. So you can see where that new growth point is coming out right here at this node. What we're gonna do, this dead wood right here, now we can start to remove all of this stuff. Anywhere where we see growth coming out, we can start to remove this side stuff because we won't get any growth from this. And this will really clean up everything a lot more. Another example here, we have this shoot. So we'll take off this right here and we can take that one off right there like that. And we'll just continue to scour our plant all around for any sections where we're seeing these growths, and all that side stuff is not going to be alive or produce any growth this year. So we'll remove all of that and clean stuff up. As you'll start to notice, this is going to be the bulk majority of all of this tiny little twiggy stuff. And what's going to remain is the thick main section of the vine. On a vine this size, about 6 feet long, this will probably take me 30 minutes or so. So don't rush through it. Take your time. It's going to make things look way, way nicer. Now, as you can see, it's already looking much cleaner in a couple minutes, but there is one thing I want to point out. Now you can see this tendril right here, it is wrapped around and it's definitely providing some support structure for this guy. I could cut it off because it's not really going to do anything, but I'll leave it on there just to allow the tendril to continue giving that support. All right, so as you can see, it's looking a lot cleaner now. I left a little bit more of the small tendrils on this side. Over here, they're really not necessary because it's weaved in so well, it's not gonna fall. But back here, it needs a little bit more support since it is at the very end of those vines. And that's a-okay. But it looks good. And next, once it starts to actually really propel in growth, I'll show you what to do. All right, so now that the growth is really starting, you got to do this like every day. It's a small little thing, so watch closely, but you have to stay on top of it or else they will grow out of control and then you'll have a really hard time tying them back into your support structure. So just watch. So these tendrils will not adhere to anything on their own accord. You have to do it. So what you need to do is you gotta like just loop it under, and they're gonna try to grow up. So you need to start to, if you want it to grow horizontally, you gotta help it in that process. And just take these little tendrils and just kind of do something like that. So then it's kind of starting in that motion, and then it'll continue to grow up, and you can keep kind of going at that horizontal way that you want. And you can finesse them, you know, down a little bit. Real gentle so you don't break the little tendrils. And there. And we're gonna keep on top of it as much as we can for all of the growth. Now, unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of growth over on that vine, but this one, I noticed that it's probably not going to come back this year. Looks like one of the main stem got bent too much and it probably dried out. So I'm gonna have to remove this section, but that's okay because I'm gonna remove it and then we're still gonna watch it all season long, and I'm gonna show you guys how much it can actually grow in the course of one season. So you can see how it got bent right there. So I'm gonna travel all the way back down. And you can see as I travel back down, there's already new growth coming from there because it knows this guy's no good. But look, this one is good. So I'm gonna cut it just right here. And that's okay. And then I'll just start getting rid of it. All right, so now it's really getting growing. It's so important that you stay on top of it. You see this guy, this little guy? If you just let him dangle, he's gonna stop growing. So you need to give him attachment to that support. It could be as easy as just doing something like that. And there you go. Just take these tendrils, wrap them around, adhere them just like that, and you're good to go. So a lot of times what can happen, you know, I have my horizontal copper wires that start up here. Well, how do I get the plant to grow up to get to that? I need some additional sort of structure to get it from the ground to that level. So what I've done is I've taken some additional copper wire, I kind of wrapped it around here, and then I fed it down to this little stick that I have right here, just kind of wrapped it around, and now I've got this guy that's coming from the ground, and I have him wrapping around this wire, and eventually he will reach up to the main support structure. And then if I want to, I can go ahead and remove this wire if I choose. So just 2 weeks later, you can see how much crazy growth has been taking place all over the place. My wife asked me how many hours I spend training this. I don't spend a lot of time, but I do come out here every day, try to untangle them, and really train them so that they will grow as long as possible. So every time these growth points extend, I take them and I wrap them around. And if I can, I'll take the little tendrils and give them a little bit of extra as well. And that really helps to propel the growth this way. Now this guy's certainly not as dense as I would like, but it is starting to come back after having to start over. And when you can see things like this, it's super important that I come out here and I help it. I just give it that little assistance, wrap it around. And I can choose to go upwards, or I could choose to take it sideways so that it extends this way, but I think I'd rather have it go upwards. All right, so it's looking really good. Flower buds are really starting to get going. The show is about to start. There you can see all of those beautiful flower buds all floating gently like that, and you can see some of them are even starting to take on some of those rich colors. And once they open, it will be an incredible display of clematis blooms. But as it continued to get quite large with lots of growth, I ended up not having any more room to kind of weave the stems in and out, but it's okay. At some point, you just might not be able to stay on top of it, but it is important to stay on top of it while it's just getting started to create that nice framework that will help support those stems once they do get a little beyond your ability to keep them on our training trellis or what have you. So this is looking great. I can't wait for these flowers to open up soon. All right, so the flower display has commenced and it's beautiful, just as expected. All of that hard work, training our plants, getting them prepared has definitely paid off because now we get to enjoy the richness and the fun of these beautiful airy flowers. You can see it's really nice and dense and thick, providing a nice flush of flowers over here. Likewise back here, things are just getting started as well. And you can see it really did reach the very heights of this structure. I even had to bring out the little mini stair stepper so that I could get up there and really cling it onto the copper wire. All of it was absolutely worth it. You don't need me to remind you that all of the love and effort and care that we give into our plants is always rewarded with exquisite beauty. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this video from start to finish, the beginning of the season to the flowering experience with our Clematis type 2. And if you do have any other further questions or comments, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We have lots of awesome videos. Everything is about plants and Mother Nature and our love of Mother Nature. Thanks for joining me here on Plant Vibrations. I'll catch you next time. Ciao.